Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and here we are to fight CPS. And of course, hang on to our children. That's the most important thing is our children. There's no question about that. Today is Sunday, the 10th of November. And you found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS, Bob Pace. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found this podcast because I'm here to help you. I've been involved in fighting CPS for 15 years now. I'm a family man, and I've been married for 42 years. I've had 2 marriages, and then I have 6 children, 3 younger ones and 3 older ones, 1 in the 40s, 2 in the 30s, 2 in the 20s, and 1 in the teens. And unfortunately, I succumbed to the bad part of CPS. CPS, I found, was very corrupt in my case. And they trafficked my children into foster care and took them away. It was very hard for me to deal with, which I know that you all are doing the same thing too. Now, you just heard Mr. Davis talk to you about a very important show next Saturday. And he has lots that he wants to share with you, no question about that. So I'm here. I'm not an attorney, but I have a lot of knowledge, and I can try to help you with your case. And I know it may be a difficult one, and you may be really concerned about it. And I will try to answer your questions. Now, you found this room on Facebook, Fighting CPS. And I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. And I'm here to help you. I know it must be really hard for your family broken apart, because that's what it seems like most of the families I talked to is that their children were taken and they were not in extreme danger. Now, CPS, I call as a child protection system. It's a government agency, a part of social services, mandated to protect our children from neglect and or abuse. It is very, very different from all different parts across the country. There's no question about it. Now, my room is there's 4 ways to interact with my podcast. The first one is you just found this room, which I'm glad you did, and all you have to do is listen. You don't have to do much. If you want to share emojis with me, that'd be great. You can also, it's like you can send a thumbs up, a heart, and you give me stars if you like to. Also, please follow me. Check the box below, and then also I would love stars if you could send them to me, and also notifications so when I'm live on there, and write reviews. That's really good. That's really important. And now, a second way of interacting with this podcast is you may want to text a message to me. Now, the text a message, all you would need to do is type your question or your comment, and it's got to be about CPS. We got to keep focused on the child protection system. Now, as I told you, all the states and counties have this agency that's mandated to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Furthermore, this agency is supposed to help out with food, clothing, shelter, transportation, medical, educational, and even getting a job. And furthermore, if they need the necessity to break up the family because the children are in extreme danger, then they're supposed to do family reunification, bring the family back together. And it's really important that they bring back, because the best parents are the biological parents. Studies have shown that the best parents are biological parents. Now, I'll ask you, besides your question or your comment about CPS, is your first name, a city or the county your case was in, and the state. Now, if you're from another country, that's fine. I welcome everybody from countries. We're up to 15 countries now, and um, they're from, people have CPS worldwide. And so far, I've heard from um, Bangladesh, uh, New Delhi, India, and then up in the Middle East, I've heard from Saudi Arabia, and recently I heard from uh, a small country, Lebanon. Um, Lebanon is on the coast of Mediterranean, north of um, uh, Israel, and then west of Syria, west of Syria, and they too have issues there as well. Then we drop down to South Africa, and the continent of South Africa in the northwest part of South Africa on the coast is a country, a small country named Liberia. Now, um, they've texted me many times. It's a gentleman that is involved in scouts, and he says they have a terrible time with CPS. So he listens to the show, and he'll come every so often. Then we go to Central East Africa, near Lake Victoria and Rwanda. Now that's a small country, very small country. They had civil war in 1994, and it was terrible because 1 million people were murdered, killed, and slaughtered, as well as over 500,000 women. That was a hard thing when I started learning about that, and when they talked about things there. But things are better. They've told me now. Things are better, and uh, I guess the country is more normalized. Now we have on the east coast of Africa, Mozambique. That's opposite Madagascar. Madagascar. And then further south, of course, is South Africa. And the part that South Africa called was on the west coast at the Western Province. I forgot what the name of that province is right now. There are 9 provinces of South Africa, 9 of them. And the one that I'm talking about is on the west side. And it's the Western Cape part of South Africa. The Western Cape part of South Africa. Then we go up to Europe, and I've had England, Scotland, and Wales. England, Scotland, and Wales. That's part of the United Kingdom. In fact, the other day, or just yesterday or the day before, I had a gentleman from England that called me, and he was on last night. So that was really great. And then we go across the pond to the North America part, and we have Canada. We've had many countries in Canada that have called in and talked about their country, both the east and west side, and they experience the same thing as the rest of people in the United States. And I've talked to over 50 countries, 50 states, including Washington, D.C. And And then we go further south down to Mexico. And then we even go further south to a country called Grenada that is on the east side of South America, opposite Venezuela and north of Brazil. Then we go across the Pacific to the land down under, that's Australia. And we have the East Coast, the Gold Coast, areas around Sydney, that's in New South Wales. And then we have the South Coast of Melbourne. And then we have, that's in the state of Victoria. So those are the countries that have spoken to several people from each country have called in and not called in, but text in about their cases and what they have and everything. So, you know, I know what it is to fight CPS. I've been there. I know how hard it is. Now, this being early morning, I'm usually on at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock in the evening Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. And I have, 7 days a week, 14 shows. I've been doing this for over a year and spoken over to 600 people. So I have a good knowledge about CPS. And I hate to say it, that in my case in Orange County, California, it was bad. And then also the people I've spoken to, 99% of them say their case was bad. And what I mean by that is they needlessly take your children when they didn't have to. They needlessly take your children when they didn't have to. And that's the hardest thing when they take your child, because you feel helpless. There's nothing you can do. Well, you need to know your rights. If I knew what I knew now, my children would never have been taken. They would never have been taken. And they do violate your constitutional and civil rights. No question about that. Now, there's 4 ways to interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is to be in this room, and um, and I explained to you what you can do in this room with the emojis and everything else, and take notes. But if you want to, um, second way to text me a message, then please do so. I've already told you pretty much what I'm looking for, and you need to be complete with your CPS case. You need to tell me what your what the makeup of the family is. The makeup of the families is really important. Now, a third way is you can also be a guest on my podcast. And to be a guest on my podcast, you're going to contact my show producer, Grace, and um, you send her an email. Now, you pick one of my 14 shows. You say, I want to be on Bob Saturday's show or his Sunday show, his morning show or his evening show, his morning or evening show. Now, I want it 8 o'clock on Sundays, every Sundays, because I have church I go to. So there's a difference on Sunday. Saturday also I come on at 8 o'clock because Vincent has a podcast. So I want everybody to attend that podcast. So those 2 days are exceptions. Also on Friday, I have Friday Night Lights high school football. My son has a team that's in the playoffs. And so we got a game this Friday coming up. So I'll come on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll come in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So anyway, to be a guest, you get also special privilege. You can actually be on the show. I mean, you can actually have a consultation with Mr. Davis. That's the attorney that just spoke on the show. He's my attorney. He'll talk to you free for 15 minutes if you be a guest on my podcast. Now, I have 9 spots on my podcast. So you can pick one of those spots. She will send you a link, Grace will, and the link will help you get on the StreamYard. Don't lose the link. You may need to use it again. Now, a fourth way to interact with this podcast is a call in now. I have my phone number, 626-698-0990. And I love very much for you to call in. Also, if you call in, make sure your speaker, the background sound is okay. I don't want to have any problems with the background sound. She'll also tell you what you can do and not do on the podcast, such as no eating or smoking. She'll do that also with you. Now, this phone number is, I use Vonage, and you would call in to 698-0990. That's area code 626. And it's only available during my show hours to call in. Only available during my show hours. So I've told you the 4 ways to interact with this podcast. One is just by being in this room and sending emojis, and um, that would be great. The second way is to text a message about a comment or question about your CPS case. A third way is to be a guest on my podcast, and that will entitle you to a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis if you like it. And then there is the phone call that you call in to my number at 626-698-0990. And that also qualifies you for a free consultation for 15 minutes from Mr. Davis. Those are two ways that will help you. Um, on that. So I want you to get as much information from me and from Vincent Davis. Now, Vincent spoke at the beginning of the show. He has a Zoom question and answers, and he will help you. He gives a lot of his free time to you. And that is super to have that attorney will do that. He's a pit bull fighter. He's been doing this for 35 years, fighting CPS. And I had hired him and back my children. And so he is a fighter. Unfortunately, I had to sell my home. It wasn't something that I didn't want to, but I needed to get my family back together. So I did do that. So I know that a lot of you are having financial difficulties, and I know that can be really, really hard on you. They have those financial difficulties. Now, I know it's early in the morning, and a lot of you guys may not be up, but I'm available here to talk about any subject you have, any questions that you have about CPS. I have over 75 topics, loaded right now that I could talk about, like the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA of 1978, or the 388 motion. There's a lots that I can talk about. Good. Welcome to. I have about 10 of you in my room, which is great, and we can talk about a lot of things. We can talk about the type of a social worker, the type of CPS. Now, CPS, if you really want to know what they really are like, all you have to do is either my case, where they forced my daughter to terminate the divorce or emancipate from the parents. I can tell you about that. That was a horrible thing. What had happened is that we were going through the trial, and we had the social work on the witness stand, and there was a time that they wanted to. My wife's sister and husband wanted to adopt our daughter, take our daughter from us, which is a horrible, horrible, horrible thing, because we didn't want that to happen. And they did that, and that was wrong. That was totally wrong what they did. But the social worker, who was a young girl in her 20s who didn't have a high school education or a college degree, no license, no training, and she was orchestrating our case. She had our case in her hands, which I thought was terrible. I thought that was terrible. But um, she was asked a question during this adoption process. The social worker was on the stand, and she was asked the question about what kind of parents was my wife's sister and husband. What kind of parents was my wife's sister and husband? And also, if there's any domestic violence. And of course, the social worker very emphatically said, "Oh, they're great parents." And no, there's been no there's been no domestic violence. And it was not true, because what happened is Vincent Davis um, had had found in his briefcase, he had a folder with cases of domestic violence, and these were physical cases. These were physical cases. And he brought his reports and was asking the social worker, "What about this case on such and such?" And after several that he read, she was so embarrassed, because what she had done is she committed perjury. Now, you know what perjury? She lied on the witness stand. She lied on the witness stand. And that being said, um, she left the stand and she was very embarrassed, because, you know, uh, she was very, very embarrassed. But she did something terrible. She said to us parents, "You're never going to see your daughter." And what she did was the worst thing that could ever happen, is that she told her daughter, "You're going to divorce your mom and dad and your family members, her brothers, her two sets of grandparents, her her uncles and aunts, her sisters, her cousins, the whole family." And then she was told to change her name, to eliminate that beautiful name we'd given her at birth, a beautiful middle name. And then she was told to seal her birth certificate. A 12-year-old doesn't know these things. So you know this is true. We know the social worker did this as retaliation, because we beat her. We beat the case. They don't like to lose. They retaliate. I don't know if any of you have had that experience happen, but it was terrible. Anyway, she was adopted by foster care. They got a new birth certificate saying the foster care people were her biological parents, which is not true at all. Which is not true at all. But it was hard. It was really hard. There's no question about that. No question about that. So she's 22 now, and we don't hear from her, which is very, very sad. And our sons still keep in touch with her, and our other children are still talking to her, I think. But see, our family was destroyed by CPS. The older kids were told to stay out of it. It was really how bad that CPS manipulates us. They really manipulate you and the family members to the point where they um, you don't have any touch. I mean, they ruined it. Another thing too is I had to get money to hire Vincent Davis, so I sold my house. I lost my house because of them. And unfortunately, what happened to me in my case is that um, I had lost my job through no fault of my own, and that was in 2010 before I was involved with CPS. And I'm trying to get a job at age 60. I was 60 when I lost it. I had 45 years of working in the business. 45 years working in the business. So anyway, my wife and I are fighting. To save our family, to put our family together. And I'm sorry if I'm a little bit emotional, talking about my case. It's one of the hardest things to deal with. And I love for someone to uh, text me a message or call in, and we can talk about some of your issues and stuff there. Now, I do have people that uh, call in from time to time. They're regulars here. I've not seen Faye for a couple days or Danielle. Or Natalie. Now, Natalie is from um, West Hollywood. Faye is from um, Richmond, Kentucky. And Danielle is from Georgia. And they've all had similar cases and so forth there. Now, there's 5 rules I've come up with that will help your case. Before I forget, there is another way to talk to Vincent Davis. It's scrolling at the bottom of my webpage. And what you can do to have a 30-minute consultation with Mr. Davis is that you can go to a website, and it's https:// Candly, CALENDLY.com. And it's there you use your credit card, and for $60 you can book 30 minutes of private consultation with Mr. Davis. Now, you may want to speak to him longer. That's why I made this session with Mr. Davis longer. So it's 30 minutes. I'm sorry, 30 minutes for $60. 30 minutes for $60. And all you have to do is go to that website. So that's another way. Remember, you can be a guest on my podcast or call in, and you can you can speak to Mr. Davis free for 15 minutes. Or if you want longer, it's $60. Now, if you want to go right away and retain him, which if you got the funds necessary, that'd be the smartest thing you ever do about your case. You can call this number on my screen, 888-888-6582. That's the law offices of Vincent W. Davis. And there you can find many attorneys. You can find, not only the area of dependency, juvenile family dependency law, which Mr. Davis is in, and also your cases. It's juvenile family dependency law. That's very important. And when you're asking for an attorney, the first question you should ask is that, are you a juvenile family dependency lawyer? Your second question is, have you ever sued CPS in a civil lawsuit? If the answer is yes to both those questions, you found yourself a good attorney, because most attorneys will not sue CPS. So you can ask them if they've done CPS cases and got their children going back. But if you talk to them about a lawsuit, that even makes it better. That does make it better. And why you should have an attorney? My rule number one is you need to have someone fight for you, because you have a very corrupt CPS. You're like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in the garden of the rabbit hole, and you met the Cheshire Cat, who sends you to rooms after rooms after rooms where you go nowhere. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. If you're going to do open heart surgery, you're not going to have a plumber or a mechanic work on your heart. You're going to have a real doctor, one that went to medical school, internship, has a mentor, has a license. Well, that's what attorneys do. They go to law school and they get a license, they pass the bar, and they get, start off as a mentor. Because you need someone that knows how to fight CPS. And yes, Mr. Davis does know that. But I know that financial constraints may be hard on you. You may not have a house. I was lucky to have a home. I'd worked 45 years for my home. And when I lost my job through no fault of my own, I had to keep all my money to save my home as long as I could. And I'm glad I did because I was able to hire an attorney and save my children. Save my children. But unfortunately, CPS was hounding my wife and I, our family, for 5 years with false allegations from a layperson. Well, the layperson, if we knew then, we would have stopped it, but we didn't know. They're my wife's parents, her three sisters, and her brother that would call in weekly for 5 years saying things that weren't true. And I met with them, I showed them the house, I did all those things. And that seemed to work. But then one time they got tired, so they called the police. And the police had a detective, and they followed me. And then when they found me, then what they did is that they told me I had to go home. I had no choice in the matter. And I didn't know my legal rights, and I didn't know what they're up to. And if I knew now, I would never have done that. I would say either arrest me for whatever I've done wrong, or I'm not going to my home. You're not going to go into my home, and you're not going to search it, and I'm going to get an attorney. And that's where my rule one is. You need an attorney. If you don't have an attorney and you use the court-appointed attorney, it's going to go bad for you. It's going to go bad for you. And what I mean by that is a court-appointed attorney is a criminal lawyer, not a dependency lawyer. And furthermore, they're freshly new. They don't have experience. Plus, they have a caseload of 30 or more clients. They won't have time for your case. They won't fight for your case. They'll settle. And the child protection system hopes you'll take court-appointed attorneys. Your wife will have one. You will have one. Your children have one. And then they can orchestrate anything they want to. And you're probably wondering why the child protection system is interested, is because of the money thing. They made $20,000 per child of our children per month. That's $60,000 a month. If you had 100 families with three children each, three children each, that's 300 children. That'd be $6 million a month. $6 million a month. And that is wrong. That is wrong. And so it is sad that they are so much interested in the financial pictures of things. They certainly don't want to help you. And they don't do what they promise you. Another bad case of social workers are the pink ladies. Now, the pink ladies were 8 social workers in Prescott, Arizona, which is a small town in Prescott. Their CPS case was called the DCS, Department of Children's Services. And they decided to buy these pink T-shirts. Now, pink is recognized as representing the fight against breast cancer, but this wasn't what they were trying to portray. They were strictly sending a message. The message was they had stenciled on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they said, do you know where your children are at? Parents, do you know where your children are at? Professional child kidnappers and parents, do you know where your children are at? And that was sad. That was so sad because that's the message. And they went around and paraded around, Walmart, Costco, Kmart, Target, Best Buys, all these department stores. And it sent a wrong kind of message. They were caught, they were fired along as the director. So that was 9 people removed from that DCF, left with one person who tried his best to handle the cases of investigation and so forth. And as I say, it was wrong. It was so wrong. Anyway, they sent that message, and that was really, it hurts when they say professional child kidnappers and parents, you know where your children are at. So you got to be careful, these individuals. You got to be careful. Now, I have a second rule. And this second rule, besides getting an attorney, rule 1, is to organize your paperwork. It's very important that you put your paperwork in a notebook, a 8.5 by 11-inch, 3-inch thick 3-ring binder. Get some subject tabs so that you can organize it and then fill it full of notebook paper, college rule. And one of the most important documents in that thing should be the timeline incident log. That's where you keep track of all the incidents that happen with your case. It's so important to document things. And what you can do is on the first line, write down the date and the time and the location and the people that were involved about the incident. And then the second line, you want to write a summary of the incident, what the incident was. And then the third line is you write the outcome. What was the outcome? And again, these are all abbreviated so that you can organize it. But 6 months from now, 3 years from now, you'll be able to look back and see it. And that's instance with the child protection system or the police, or maybe it's the school, or maybe it's the hospital or the doctors. It's your children, whatever it is, lay people, where it is. You put all the incidents with the oldest first, and then you add the incidents as they happen. And you keep it up to stuff. And organizing your documents will really help you, like your court papers, your parenting certificates, your program certificates, your drug tests, your court papers. And again, you got all these dividers, divide everything up there. Your information about CPS, what you find, and so forth. So go ahead and do that. Organize your documents. I didn't. I wish I'd done so. And then rule number 3 is never talk to social workers, never talk to the police. Don't let them in your home. And whatever you do not surrender your children. You have constitutional rights. There's only 3 ways that they can enter your home. 1, you give them permission. 2, there's extreme violence taking place that involves the children. They're going to come in. The child's being hurt or stuff like that. You don't want to argue in front of children, no yelling, and those kinds of things. And then 3rd way is a warrant. And that's a special document that is issued by the judge in court. And court only takes place through normal work days. If it's a holiday or the weekend and the date's there, then that's not a valid document. They will use copies of documents. They will alter the dates. They will lie. CPS is known to lie. You can type that in, do CPS lie. And I can guarantee you'll find lots of articles and stories. Now, I've been pretty much saying that CPS is bad, and I've been talking about that. They have a hard job to do. They come to the door, and a lot of times they're attacked by parents. A lot of times they're killed. And that's why they bring the police with them, not only as intimidation, but also to protect them, because they don't know what they're going to suspect. That's why I think it should be involving a phone call, and you should meet at, say, a public place where you can record them, like McDonald's or Starbucks. You don't want to meet at their office or at your home, because they'll go fishing for stuff there. Now, I'm getting close to the end of my podcast. I've been talking this morning about my rules and how they interact. I hope that you all come tonight to participate and talk with me. It's very important that you talk, because it helps me focus on your issue or your problem. I want to thank all of you for coming to my podcast and for the emojis and things you've sent and so forth. Now, Mr. Davis will come on again and talk about his next Saturday. It happens on the 16th. That's my birthday. I'm going to be 75 years old. But anyway, I care about you, and I pray for you, and I know that you'll get your children back. Keep fighting for them, and I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.